Janaranjana Yashodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Vadadari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Vadadari Yashodanandana Rajajanaranjana Yanatira Vanachari Yanatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavihari Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtodarasha Sheshimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON B.I. BBD Samstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtodarasya Sheshimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Jai Sri Rupa Sri Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath, Sri Jiva Gopala Vadada Saraghunath, Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath, Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Gangamai Ki Jai, Yamunamai Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Natai Gaur Premanandi, Hare Hare Ho, All glories, some devotees. All glories, some devotees. All glories, some devotees. All glories to Śrī Guru and Śrī Gauranga. All glories to the Prabhupada. So today is the transcendental appearance day of Lord Balarāma. Śrī Balarāma Utsava ki jai. Śrī Balarāma ki jai. Śrī Balarāma Jayanti ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hare Hare Om. So, on this day one is supposed to observe fasting, although Srila Prabhupada gave us only the requirement to fast till noon. There's no reason why you cannot do more austerity on this day. The minimum austerity is to fast until noon. So now, Lord Kṛṣṇa tells us in Bhagavad Gita how we should understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. First of all, though, we should chant some invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Kṛṣṇa says in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vedi tattvataha tattva purnam ti janma naiti mam savarjuna. He's promising us that if we can understand the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and activities, what will happen?
We will go, stop taking birth
and go back to Godhead. You'll go back to Godhead. Isn't that wonderful? How many people want to go back to Godhead in this room? Anyone not want to go back to Godhead? One time we had a bhakta living in this temple and he was giving us a lot of trouble. I asked him, don't you want to go back to Godhead? He said, no, I want to get married. I told him, well then get out of here. What are you doing here? One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So we should understand this point about Lord Balarāma. This is like maybe a preliminary point. At least a basic point, you could say. That Lord Balarāma's appearance is transcendental. His activities are transcendental. It's very important that we understand this. Śrī Balarāma is not an ordinary person. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, similarly, Lord Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Next week we'll be having Kṛṣṇa Jayanti, or the appearance day of Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa. I got asked to give this class at the last moment, by the way, so don't blame me.
Like me this morning, yes.
And who asked him to give class this morning at the last moment? Okay, so the situation is that as we know, I hope, that King Kṛṣṇa had put Vasudeva and Devaki in prison because there was an omen, some kind of a sound coming from the sky that told Kṛṣṇa that he would be killed. But what was it, the seventh child? Can't remember now, of Vasudeva and Devaki. So then Kṛṣṇa had said, okay, now I'm going to kill Devaki, even though he's related to her, he's going to kill her. That's a pretty heinous thing when you think about it. You're on the way home from a marriage ceremony and you suddenly say, I'm going to kill my cousin's sister. What kind of a person would do that? I don't know. He's a big demon, this King Kṛṣṇa. Sometimes we don't appreciate how powerful Kṛṣṇa is, but even the demigods were afraid of Kṛṣṇa. He is not an ordinary king or an ordinary person or a man. He is very, very powerful. And there's some stories about how he got that way. So then he puts him in jail. And of course Vasudeva made a deal with Kṛṣṇa that every child that was be born of Devaki, he would give to Kṛṣṇa, and then he could kill him. So then he did that. He gave every child, and Kṛṣṇa just mercilessly butchered him. Really rascal guy, really evil, asura. So then finally, Balaram appeared. First of all, then, that's where the story picks up here. When Devaki became pregnant for the seventh time, a plenary expansion of Kṛṣṇa known as Ananta appeared within her womb. Devaki was overwhelmed with both jubilation and lamentation. She was joyful, for she could understand that Lord Vishnu had taken shelter within her womb. But at the same time, she was sorry that as soon as her child would come out, Kṛṣṇa would kill him. At that time, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Kṛṣṇa, being compassionate upon the Yadus, who are fearful due to the atrocities committed by Kṛṣṇa, ordered the appearance of Yogamaya, his internal potency. Kṛṣṇa is the Lord of the universe, but he is especially the Lord of the Yadu dynasty. Yogamaya is the principal potency of the personality of Godhead. In the Vedas it is stated that the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has multi-potencies. Parasya Shaktir Vividai Vashuyate. All the different potencies are acting externally and internally, and Yogamaya is the chief of all potencies. The Lord ordered the appearance of Yogamaya in the land of Brajabhumi, in Vrindavan, which is always decorated and full with beautiful cows. In Vrindavan, Rohini, one of the wives of Vasudeva, was residing at the house of King Nanda and Queen Yashoda. Not only Rohini, but many others in the Yadu dynasty were scattered all over the country due to their fear of the atrocities of Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa was killing the Brahmanas right and left, sending so many demons to Vrindavan, and Kṛṣṇa would just kill them one after another eventually. Of course, that's after this story, but so Kṛṣṇa is just creating a lot of trouble. The Lord thus informed Yogamaya, under the imprisonment of Kṛṣṇa are Devaki and Vasudeva, and at the present moment my plenary expansion Shesha is within the womb of Devaki. She can arrange the transfer of Shesha from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. After this arrangement, I am personally going to appear in the womb of Devaki with my full potencies. Then I shall appear as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, and you shall appear as a daughter of Nanda and Yashoda and Vrindavan. Since you will appear as my contemporary sister, and since you will quickly satisfy desires for sense gratification, people within the world will worship you with all kinds of valuable presentations, incense, candles, flowers, and offerings of sacrifice. People who are after materialistic perfection will worship you under the different forms of your expansions, which will be named Durga, Bhadrakali, Vijaya, Vaishnavi, Kumuda, Chandika, Kṛṣṇa, Madhavi, Kanyaka, Maya, Narayani, Ishani, Sharada, Ambika. Kṛṣṇa and Yogamaya appeared as brother and sister, the supreme powerful and the supreme power. Although there is no clear distinction between the powerful and the power, power is always subordinate to the powerful. Those who are materialistic are worshippers of the power, but those who are transcendentalists are worshippers of the powerful. Kṛṣṇa is the supreme powerful, and Durga is the supreme power within the material world. Actually, people in Vedic culture worship both the powerful and the power. There are many hundreds and thousands of temples of Vishnu and Devi, and sometimes they are worshipped simultaneously. The worshipper of the power, Durga, or the external energy of Kṛṣṇa, may achieve all kinds of material success very easily. But anyone who wants to be elevated transcendentally must engage in worshiping the powerful in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. The Lord also declared to Yogamaya, "My plenary expansion, Anantasesha, is within the womb of Devaki. On account of being forced highest bliss of life, which is called Ramana. Therefore, the plenary portion, Ananta, will be known after his appearance either as Śrī or as Balaram." So, what's Bala mean? Strength. But what kind of strength, though? Spiritual strength, not just physical strength. Sometimes people say that Bala means material strength, but that's not what it is. It's actually spiritual strength. In the Upanishads, it is stated, Nayam Atma Balahinena Labhya. The purport is that one cannot attain the supreme platform of self-realization without being sufficiently favored by Balaram. Balaram does not mean spiritual perfection by physical strength. One must have spiritual strength, which is infused by Balaram or Sankarshan. Ananta or Sheshanag is the source of the power which sustains all the planets in their different positions. Materially, the sustaining power is known as the law of gravitation, but actually it is a display of the potency of Sankarshan, Balaram, or Sankarshan. But actually it is a display of the potency of Sankarsana, Balaram, or Sankarsana is the source of spiritual power or the original spiritual master. Now some devotees think there's no gravitation. It's all a big illusion, or something like that. There's somebody staying here who says things like that. And Prabhupada said some things like that, maybe, I don't know. But you see, actually, that's not Prabhupada is actually allowing the law of gravitation here. He says, materially, the sustaining power is known as the law of gravitation. This person I'm thinking of who says there's no gravity. It's just we got to use, Aristotle's ideas, not the modern science. Because in modern science, what we have is Newton had this idea of gravity. Actually, it was due to Newton, and he came up with a certain law. It's an inverse, that the attraction between two bodies varies as an inverse square of the distance. And it's proportional also to the relative masses. So now, but he thinks, this certain friend of mine says, we have to give that all up. That's all like illusion or something like that. But what the scientists have done is they've simply tried to give some empirical law for what they're seeing. That doesn't mean that Sankarshan doesn't exist. Nor does gravity not exist. Gravity is a real thing. It's just a question of what you want to call it. Therefore, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, materially the sustaining power is known as the law of gravitation. but actually it is a display of the potency of Sankarsana. Balaram or Sankarsana is the source of spiritual power or the original spiritual master. So when you feel this gravity, every object attracts another object. You can actually do that experiment, you know. You just two masses and they have some attraction there. You can measure that because they'll start to move together. So that's an empirical thing. Now, what is that? It's a display of the potency of Sankarsana. Balaram or Sankarsana is the source of spiritual power or the original spiritual master. Therefore, Lord Nityananda, who is also the incarnation of Balaram, is the original spiritual master. And the spiritual master is a representative of Balaram, the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who supplies spiritual strength. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is confirmed that the spiritual master is the manifestation of the mercy of Kṛṣṇa. So today's Balaram's appearance day. We can especially pray to Lord Balaram for this spiritual strength to make progress in spiritual life. So the original spiritual master then is Lord Balaram. Thus ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yogamaya circumambulated the Lord and then appeared within this material world according to his order. When Yogamaya, the supreme power of the supremely powerful Personality of Godhead, transferred Lord Shesha from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. Both Devaki and Rohini were under Yogamaya's spell, which is called Yoga Nidra. When this was done, people thought that Devaki's seventh pregnancy had been a miscarriage. Thus, although Balaram appeared as the son of Devaki, he was transferred to the womb of Rohini to appear as her son. After this arrangement, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Kṛṣṇa, who is always ready to protect his unalloyed devotees, entered within the mind of Vasudeva as the Lord of the whole creation, with full inconceivable potencies. Maybe some water, I think. It is understood in this connection that Lord Kṛṣṇa first of all situated himself in the unalloyed heart of Vasudeva and then transferred to the heart of Devaki. He was not put into the womb of Devaki by seminal discharge. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, by his inconceivable potency, can appear in any way. It is not necessary for him to appear in the ordinary way by seminal injection within the womb of a woman. So that's a very important principle. You see, in all the cases of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's appearance, he's not appearing in the normal way. There's no seminal exchange there. And also you can see that we don't get too much details here about Balaram's appearance, but in the case of Kṛṣṇa we do get a lot of details, because Kṛṣṇa appears in what way? He appears with all jewels and in four hands with hair and everything. What baby in this world appears like that? He has to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then after that, though, then Nanda and Yashoda pray to Kṛṣṇa. Then Vasudeva and Devaki pray to Kṛṣṇa, oh, please transform into a little baby, because they're very worried about Kamsa is going to kill. But of course, Kamsa can't kill Kṛṣṇa. It's impossible to kill God. Hiranyakashipu, he also wanted to chop off the head of Vishnu because he had killed his brother. But he can't do that. That's impossible. He didn't understand that point. And then he got killed. These demons, they don't understand how powerful Kṛṣṇa is. And how... You'll see in that pastime of Lord Nrsingadev, Prabhupada talks a little bit about It's interesting there you can see how the Hiranyakashipu really thought he could fight with the Supreme Personality of God and win. Similarly, Ravana thought he could fight with Lord Ram and win. But he couldn't. He was killed ultimately. The fight between both of those two, Ram and Ravana, and the fight between Hiranyakashipu and Lord Nrsimhadev, it took some time. It wasn't just like, in some cases when Krishna kills somebody, it's just a slap and he's dead. But in those cases, Krishna had a good fight. He likes to fight too. But he has to send one of his devotees, and in that case, Hiranyakashipu was actually his devotee who came. So, point is that you cannot kill God. It's impossible. Instead, God will kill you if you think that way. And so, it was interesting in the case of that Lord Nrsimhadev and Hiranyakashipu. Lord Nrsimhadev played a little while with Hiranyakashipu, and Hiranyakashipu thought that he could win. He fought back, he escaped from his hands, and so many things. Similarly, this demoniac civilization, they think, oh, there's no God, we can do whatever we want. But they don't know. Sooner or later, they're going to get crushed by the hands of the Supreme Lord. Krishna can take care of them in one moment. He's letting them play around a little bit, think they can do what they want, but sooner or later, bam, they're going to be gone. Similarly, that's the pastime here in this Krishna book. The world was overwhelmed by these demons. So many great demons were present at the time of Lord Krishna's appearance. And the demigods all approached Bhumi because the world was overburdened with all these demons. And then there was a message transmission from the Lord to Supreme Lord to Brahma through the heart. You see, Brahma can get instructions from the Lord.
Hare
Kṛṣṇa. So then the Supreme Lord told Brahma that he would appear and take care of all these demons. So then Krishna eventually, this is the story then of how Balarāma and Krishna appear. Now similarly, in the case of the appearance of Lord Gauranga, there was no seminal exchange. The Lord just appeared in the heart of his father, and then transfers to the heart of his mother, and then to her womb, and then he appears. There's nothing, no seminal injection was there, as Prabhupada says. When Vasudeva was sustaining the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, he appeared just like the glowing sun, whose shining rays are always unbearable and scorching to the common man. So first he appears in the heart of Vasudeva. The form of the Lord situated in the pure unalloyed heart of Vasudeva is not different from the original form of Krishna. The appearance of the form of Krishna anywhere, and specifically within the heart, is called Dhamma. Dhamma refers not only to Krishna's form, but also to his name, his qualities, and his paraphernalia. Everything becomes manifest simultaneously. Thus, the eternal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, with his full potencies, was transferred from the mind of Vasudeva to the mind of Devaki, exactly as the setting sun's rays are transferred to the womb, to the full moon. Thus, the eternal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with full potencies was transferred from the mind of Vasudeva to the mind of Devaki, exactly as the setting sun's rays are transferred to the full moon rising in the east. And then eventually Krishna appears. We'll talk about that next week. So these points are, the main point here is that one cannot attain the supreme platform of self-realization without being sufficiently favored by Balaram. So we have to be favored by Balaram. And then Balaram is also called the Adi Guru. He's the original spiritual master. So on this day of the appearance of Lord Balaram, we should be praying to Lord Balaram to give us his mercy. And we should understand the position of Balaram. The spiritual master is the manifestation of the mercy of Kṛṣṇa. So then, Balaram appears, 7 days later Kṛṣṇa appears, and then they grow up. And then Balaram also has many pastimes, just like Kṛṣṇa does. For example, Balaram kills Palambasur. He kills these kind of donkey-like demons, Dhanakasur, who are very powerful. He also killed this demon, Dvivida. Originally, Dvivida was in Ramachandra's pastimes favorably, but then somehow Dvivida got corrupted by some bad association, and then when he lived all the way to Kṛṣṇa and Balaram's appearance. That's hard to understand. I mean, he lived for a long time. Then in Kṛṣṇa's pastimes then, and in Balaram's pastimes, then eventually he starts to go around the countryside causing all kinds of trouble. And once upon a time, Balaram went with his gopis. Just like Kṛṣṇa has a set of gopis, Balaram also has a set of gopis. So they were frolicking in the forest, and this Dvivida gorilla comes up and starts causing trouble. He was even like showing the lower part of his body and trying to attract the women, namely the gopis, to him. So then Balaram decided, okay, enough is enough. This rascal has to be killed. So then they got into a pretty good fight. And eventually then Balaram kills Dvivida. Another time, then there's the whole story of Balaram causing the whole Hastinapur to be almost dragged into the Yamuna River. And what happened there was that maybe we should check that pastime. Samba, and yeah. I mean, it's buried in one of these chapters here, I think. Yeah. Duryodhana, the son of Dhritarashtra, had a marriageable daughter by the name of Lakshmana. She was a very highly qualified girl of the Kuru dynasty, and many princes wanted to marry her. In such cases, the Swayamvar ceremony is held so that the girl may select her husband, according to her own choice. In Lakshmana's Swayamvar assembly, when the girl was to select her husband, Samba appeared. He was the son of Kṛṣṇa by Jambavati, one of Lord Kṛṣṇa's chief wives. The son of Samba was so named because he was a pet child and always lived close to his mother. The name Samba indicates a son who is very much his mother's pet. Amba means mother, and Sa means with. So this special name was given to him because he always remained with his mother. Somebody's phone is going off over there. He was also known as Jambavati Sutta for the same reason. As previously explained, all the sons of Kṛṣṇa were as qualified as their great father, Sambhawana Duryodhana's daughter Lakshmana, although she was not inclined to have him. Therefore, Samba kidnapped Lakshmana by force from the Swayamvar assembly. Because Samba took Lakshmana away from the assembly by force, all the members of the Kuru dynasty, such as Dhritarashtra, Bhishma, Vidura, and Arjuna, thought it an insult to their family tradition that the boy Samba could possibly have kidnapped their daughter. All of them knew that Lakshmana was not at all inclined to select him as her husband, and that she was not given the chance to select her own husband. Instead, she was forcibly taken away by this boy. Therefore, they decided he must be punished. They unanimously declared that he was the most impudent and had degraded the Kuru's family tradition. Therefore, all of them, under the counsel of the elder members of the Kuru family, decided to arrest the boy, but not kill him. They concluded that the girl could not be married to any boy other than Samba, since she had already been touched by him. See, in those days, as soon as you're touched by some other man, that's finished. You either get married or you don't get any other husband. Pretty strict. The elder members of the family, such as Bhishma, wanted to arrest him. Thus, all the members of the Kuru dynasty, especially the great fighters, joined together just to teach him a lesson. And Kṛṣṇa was made the commander-in-chief for this small battle. While making the plan to arrest Samba, the Kurus counseled among themselves that upon his arrest, the members of the Yadu dynasty would be very angry with them. There was every possibility of the Yadus accepting the challenge and fighting with them. But they also thought, quote, if they came here to fight with us, what could they do? The members of the Yadu dynasty cannot equal the members of the Kuru dynasty, because the kings of the Kuru dynasty are the emperors, whereas the kings of the Yadu dynasty are able to enjoy their lands only because we have granted it to them. Kurus are a little puffed up here, thinking themselves. Because you see, after they kidnap, the point is that if the Yadus come to avenge the attack on Samba, then there's going to be a battle, but they're sure they're going to win against him.
How were the Kurus thinking they're greater than the Yadu?
Well, they were in charge. I mean, they were occupying Delhi. They were being a little chivalrous here. That was actually part of the point. They forgot who they were. The Kurus thought, if they come here to challenge us because their son was arrested, we shall accept the fight and teach them a lesson, so that automatically they will be subdued under pressure, as the senses are subdued by the mystic yoga process of pranayama. After consultation and after receiving permission from the elder members of the Kuru dynasty, such as Bhishma and Dhritarashtra, 5 great warriors, Kṛṣṇa, Śrīla, Bhuri, Yajnaketu, and Duryodhana, the father of the girl, were all Maharatis who were guided by the great fighter Bhishma Dev, attempted to arrest the boy Samba. So they were these Maharatis, these great fighters. They could each one of these that are listed here, they could fight with 1,000 men. Very, very powerful. So they all ganged up on Samba and had a good little fight. And Samba actually fought back very, valiantly. But ultimately, when you're up against 5 other guys who are super powerful, he got defeated So then they chained him up and took him back to the palace.
Pretty brave guy. I like him.
Thus, the warriors of the Kuru dynasty accepted their great victory and took their daughter Lakshmana away from Samba. Thereafter, they entered the city of Hastinapur in great triumph. The great sage Narada immediately carried the news to the Yadu dynasty after Samba had been arrested and told them the whole story. So then the Yadus, as predicted, got very angry. Although Lord Balaram knew very well that by slight provocation people are prepared to fight with one another in the age of Kali, he did not like the idea that the two great dynasties, the Kuru dynasty and the Yadu dynasty, would fight amongst themselves, even though they were influenced by Kali Yuga. So then Balaram thought, quote, instead of fighting with them, let me go there and see the situation, and let me try to see if the fight can be settled by mutual understanding. So Balaram is going there to try to resolve this problem. Balaram's idea was that if the Kuru dynasty could be induced to release Samba along with his wife Lakshmana, then the fight could be avoided. He therefore immediately arranged for a nice chariot to go to Hastinapur, accompanied by learned priests and brahmanas, as well as by some of the elder members of the Yadu dynasty. He was confident that the members of the Kuru dynasty would agree to this marriage and avoid fighting with the Yadus. As Lord Balarāma proceeded toward Hastinapur in his chariot, accompanied by the brahmanas and elders, he looked like the moon, shining in the clear sky amongst the glittering stars. When Lord Balaram reached the precincts of the city of Hastinapur, he did not enter, but stationed himself in a camp outside the city in a small garden house. Then he asked Uddhava to meet with the leaders of the Kuru dynasty and inquire from them whether they wanted to fight with the Yadu dynasty or to make a settlement. Uddhava went to see the leaders of the Kuru dynasty, and he met all the important members, including Bhishmadev, Dhritarashtra, Dronacharya, Duryodhana, and Balika. After offering them due respects, he informed them that Lord Balaram had arrived at the garden outside the city gate. The leaders of the Kuru dynasty, especially Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, were joyful because they knew very well that Lord Balaram was a great well-wisher of their family. There was no bounds to their joy on hearing the news, and so they immediately welcomed Uddhava. You see, Balaram had taught Duryodhana how to fight with a club. So there was some special relationship between Duryodhana and Balaram. Even though Duryodhana turned out to be the cause of the Kuru war because he didn't want to give the Pandavas any land, still there was Duryodhana had some connection with Balaram.
Wasn't that Dwapara Yuga? Kali Yuga hadn't begun yet.
Well, it does say that, but the point is it's kind of on the Sandhya period there between Dwapara and Kali Yuga.
So the end of Dwapara Yuga.
Yeah, it's not exactly either side. The leaders of the Kuru dynasty, especially Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, were joyful because they knew very well that Lord Balaram was a great well-wisher of their family. There were no bounds for joy on hearing the news, and they immediately welcomed Uddhava. In order to properly receive Lord Balaram, they all took in their hands auspicious paraphernalia for his reception and went to see him outside the city gate. According to their respective positions, they welcomed Lord Balaram by giving him in charity nice cows and arghya, a mixture of arati water, and an assortment of items such as honey, butter, flowers, and sandalwood pulp. Because all of them knew the exalted position of Lord Balaram as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they bowed their heads before the Lord with great respect. They all exchanged words of reception, asking one another about their welfare. And when such formalities were finished, Lord Balarāma, in a great voice, and very patiently submitted before them the following words for their consideration. My dear friends, this time I have come to you as a messenger with the order of the all-powerful King Ugrasena. Please therefore hear the order with attention and with great care. Without wasting a single moment, please try to carry out the order. King Ugrasena knows very well that you warriors of the Kṛṣṇa dynasty improperly fought with pious Samba, who was alone, and with great difficulty and unrighteous tactics you have arrested him. Remember, Samba was attacked by 5 of these Kṛṣṇa dynasties. It's like 5 against 1. That's not a fair fight. And these people who were fighting them, they were very, very powerful. Narrates means could fight with 1,000 men against 1. So in those days, they had some rules for war. That was unrighteous what they did. We have heard all this news, but we are not very much aggrieved, very much agitated, because we are most intimately related to one another. There are many marriage connections between the Yadus and the Kurus, so why fight? I do not think we should disturb our good relationship. We should continue our friendship without any unnecessary fighting. Please, therefore, immediately release Samba and bring him, along with his wife Lakshmana, before me. So these are the orders then of Balaram to the Kurus. When Lord Balarāma spoke in a commanding tone, full of heroic assertion, supremacy, and chivalry, the leaders of the Kṛṣṇa dynasty did not appreciate his statements. Rather, all of them became agitated, and with great anger they said, "Oh, these words are very astonishing, but quite befitting the age of Kali. Otherwise, how could Balaram speak so vituperately?" The language and tone used by Balaram are simply abusive, and due to the influence of this age, it appears that the shoes befitting the feet want to rise to the top of the head, where the helmet is worn. We are connected with Yadu dynasty by marriage, and because of this, they have been given the chance to come live with us, dine with us, and sleep with us. Now they are taking advantage of these privileges. They had practically no position. Before we gave them a portion of our kingdom to rule, and now they are trying to command us. We have allowed the Yadu dynasty to use the royal insignias like the whisk, fan, conch shell, white umbrella, crown, royal throne, sitting place, and bedstead, along with everything else befitting the royal order. They should not have used such royal paraphernalia in our presence, but we did not check them due to our family relationships. Now they have the audacity to order us to do things. Well, enough of this now. Impudence. We cannot allow them to do any more of these things, nor shall we allow them to use the royal insignia. It would be best to take all these things away. It is improper to feed a snake with oil, since such merciful activity simply increases venom. The Yadu dynasty is now trying to go against those who have fed them so nicely. Their flourishing condition is due to our gifts and merciful behavior, and still they are so shameless that they are trying to order us. How regretful, how regrettable are these activities. No one in the world can enjoy anything if members of the Kṛṣṇa dynasty like Bhishma, Dronacharya, and Arjuna do not allow them to. Exactly as a lamb cannot enjoy life in the presence of a lion, without our desire it is not possible for the demigods in heaven, headed by King Indra, to find enjoyment in life, what to speak of ordinary human beings. Actually, the members of the Kṛṣṇa dynasty were very much puffed up due to their opulence, kingdom, aristocracy, family tradition, great warriors, family members, and vast expanse of empire. They did not even observe common formalities of civilized society, and in the presence of Lord Balarāma they uttered insulting words about the Yadu dynasty. Having spoken in this unmannerly way, they returned to their city of Hastinapur. We're going to have a Julian Yatra here at about 6:30 or so. Bhusha Prabhu? What time are they coming? Deities coming off? 6:20. 6:20?
Grantharaj, can I ask a question? So, Baladev had this relationship with Duryodhana. But it's always confusing for me because we see that if Baladev is Seva Bhagavan, he gives the potency to serve Krishna. Duryodhana had no desire to serve Krishna at all. Why does Baladev have this relationship, and why did he become like a teacher to Duryodhana?
I think somewhere it says that Duryodhana is actually a devotee, but he's taking on this role.
Oh, so it's just part of the Leela.
Yeah. So anyway, in this way, Balaram comes and he tells the members of the Kuru dynasty to give up Samba, to release him and Lakshmana and so on. But then the Kurus say no. So now what's going to happen? So now Balaram gets really angry because they're not taking his order. When the Supreme Lord tells you to do something, you better do it. Otherwise, you're going to be in big trouble. So then Balaram gives some more instructions to the Kurus, very angrily. And while talking to them like this, Lord Balaram seemed so furious that he looked as if he could burn the whole cosmic creation to ashes. Indeed, he can, too. He stood up steadily and, taking his plow in his hand, began striking the earth with it, separating the whole city of Hastinapur from the earth. And then he began to drag the city toward the flowing water of the river Ganga. This caused a great tremor throughout Hastinapur, as if there had been an earthquake, and it seemed that the whole city would be dismantled. So Balaram is going to drag all of Hastinapur into the river. You might say, wow, that's amazing. Remember, though, Balaram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We have to understand that Krishna and Balaram, they understand the material laws better than we do. Somewhere Prabhupada says, oh, Krishna is a supreme physicist. So they know more about how this world works, and they can do these amazing things. Otherwise, it seems like these are mythological things. Like, for example, in Minnesota, there's some legend of Paul Bunyan or something. These things that was all concoctions of men doing. But this is actually real authorized stories. They're not myths. And you might say, well, how can it be possible that Balaram could take start dragging the whole city of Hastinapur into the river? That's like inconceivable. Similarly, it seems inconceivable. How could Krishna lift the Govardhan hill? Seems impossible. Some, like the demons, would say, that's impossible. That's a ridiculous story. How can anybody do that? Can't even dream of doing that. But then they forget Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. He made this whole universe. He knows how the whole world works. And he knows it a lot better than most scientists do. So he can do amazing things because he knows the laws of nature much better than we do. And all the members of the Kuru dynasty saw that their city was about to fall into the water of the Ganga. And when they heard their citizens howling in great anxiety, they immediately came to their senses and understood what was happening. Thus, without waiting another second, they brought forward their daughter Lakshmana. They also brought Samba, who had forcibly tried to take her away, keeping him in the forefront with Lakshmana at his back. All the members of the Kuru dynasty appeared before Lord Balarāma with folded hands, just to beg the pardon of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For those of you who came late, some people just came now, we're talking about the story of Samba kidnapping Lakshmana at the time of her Swayamvara, the time when she's choosing her husband. And then how the Kuru dynasty doesn't like this, and then they fight with Samba and imprison him, and then the Yadus decide to attack, but then Balaram, who's like a diplomat, he says, okay, I'm going to try to solve this thing, and he comes out to try to negotiate something, and Balaram tells the whole Kurus, give up, Samba, come to your head, and they just ignore him. You shouldn't. You got to pay attention to what Kṛṣṇa or Balaram tell you to do. Now you might know, one good question is then why did the Kurus not take the instruction of Balaram? Especially like Duryodhana, he's like he's very close to Balaram. All the residents of all these Kurus were close to Balaram. They knew something about it. So why did they resist? Why didn't they just surrender and give Samba up immediately? So actually, though, they wanted, then Prabhupada at the end here says that actually they wanted to see how powerful Balaram was. So that was the real source of they were doing like a little test, you could say. Let's see if we can just find that spot.
That's crazy. Balaram.
I got 1 minute.
He killed somebody with grass already.
Oh, yeah, that's another amazing thing he did. Balaram took a blade of grass and killed Ramashan Sutta, because that's another pastime why he did that, but I'm looking for some line right here. So then they surrendered to Balaram and so on. Here it is. When Samba forcibly took away Lakshmana, the elder members of the Kuru dynasty were pleased to see that he was actually the suitable match for her. In order to see his personal strength, however, they fought with him, and without respect for regulations of fighting, they arrested him. When the Yadu dynasty decided to release Samba from the confinement of the Kurus, Lord Balaram came personally to settle the matter, and as a powerful Kshatriya ordered them to free Samba immediately. The Kauravas were superficially insulted by this order, so they challenged Lord Balaram's power. Here's the key point. They simply wanted to see him exhibit his inconceivable strength. That's the secret, you see, why they did this. They wanted to see how powerful Lord Balaram was. They knew Balaram was powerful. They wanted to see his inconceivable strength. So then Balaram, what does he do? He takes the whole Hastinapur and starts dragging it into the Yamuna. They got to see his power, and they were really scared.
Sounds like something Kshatriyas would do.
Śrī Balarāma ki jai. Śrī Balarāma Appearance Day ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari O. So now, Radha Govinda are going to